would say to myself, if somebody can do it, then I damn sure can do it. Work hard, and you won't regret it. I have nothing to say about the military, but good things.
Service, sacrifice, and resilience. Guardians on the Front Lines is an oral history project exploring and preserving the stories, perspectives, and experiences of U.S. military veterans and first responders who call the Marianas home.
Welcome to Service, Sacrifice, and Resilience, Guardians on the Front Lines. I'm Catherine Perry, and our guest today is Guillermo Cabrera Borja. Mr. Borja was born and raised on the island of Tinian here in the U.S. Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. He is a veteran of the U.S. Armed Forces. He joined the Army in 1972 and was honorably discharged in 1980 with the rank of Staff Sergeant. He originally joined as an infantryman, later became a food service inspector. And on a personal note, he has altogether 8 children, many grandchildren, and he's married to Belicissima Hokuk Borja. Mr. Borja, buenas, welcome.
Buenas, thank you.
Sidus Masi, and thank you for taking time, leaving your 30 cows, 14 pigs, and chickens on Tinian to fly to Saipan today and share a little bit about your experience as a veteran and a member of our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you too, for inviting me to express my military service and like to extend undang klunas si Diyos mo si para hawud and the staff is the Humanity Council. Thank you.
I thought we could start with a little bit about your childhood. Before you even joined the military, you were saying that at that time there were only 8 families on Tinian, and actually when you were very young, your life suddenly had a big change.
Yes, when I was growing up, there's only approximately 8 families. Later on, we got people coming in from Yap and Rhoda, but we were the only families. They call my mother's side the Lasio family, but on my father's side, they call them the Hook family.
Family name.
So we live in Marpo, and we work. My father worked so hard. He would wake up maybe 5 o'clock in the morning, start pulling weeds, and I hate to see the weekends because in the weekend I have to grind coconuts for the chicken and the pigs. So I'd rather be at school, you know. I enjoy growing and living in the farm, although it's kind of hard going to school because we had no cars. We had to walk to school. I would say maybe 5 miles to school from our house in the farm. Yeah. And we plan. My father make a living out of planting or selling watermelons and other fruits and bananas. At the time, they were selling it to the Navy in Guam. He was never employed. None of us was ever employed until later on in life, when we finally get the government set up, the transitory government set up here in the Sienamite. That's when job opening came to Tinian and probably Saipan too. You know.
You were mentioning that your mother passed away when you were quite young. How did that change your life?
Well, you know, it was very rough for me because I was in Saipan, going to school here in Saipan when my mom passed away when I was only 13 years old. And since I'm the youngest one, I had to try and make money by selling coconut crabs. You know, I would go up in the mountain and gather some coconut crabs and sell it, or even send it to Guam in exchange for food or other things that we wanted on Tinian and we don't have. The one that I remember was to have a ukulele. I had to trade 25 coconut crab for one small ukulele. It's a crackerjack type ukulele, you know, it breaks real fast. But anyway, that's how I learned how to play music, from that small ukulele. Now I can play guitar, I play organ, and my kids do the same. They play guitar also. Yeah, and
What happened to you when your mother passed away?
okay, when my mom passed away, I had to quit school. But when I was 16, I had to quit school. I'm sorry, before 16, at the age of 16, I quit school so I can work for my father. I'm too young, but I figure I need to do something and then I can go to school later. So I finally decided when I was 16 years old to leave the island of Tinian to go to Hawaii, not knowing anybody in Hawaii. I only had $300 with me, and I spent a week or so at the airport because, like I just said, I didn't know anybody until after a week. A lady from Hawaii Visitors Bureau came over and asked me if I need any help, and I said, sure, I really need help. I am crazy enough to travel to a big country and not knowing anybody. So she invited me to stay at her house.
Because she had kind of noticed you over the week, hanging out there at the
At the
airport,
airport.
eating at the airport.
Eating at the airport, sleeping at the airport.
What motivated you to just leave everybody you know and go to a strange place and take a chance like that?
Yes, I know it's a big gamble, but I told my father that I will go somewhere and finish my education. So it's there when I finish my high school. And with the blessings of that lady, well, she took me into her house, and then that's when I finished high school, when I was staying at her house. And then she helped me continue going to college. That's when I got drafted in the Army. I volunteered for the Marine, but the Army said, let's go now. So.
And you had just gotten a degree, correct? Like
Yeah,
an AA
yes.
in criminal justice?
Criminal justice.
First of all, why did you want to go to the Marines, even though you ended up going to the Army? What was the vision there?
Growing up, like I said, you know, we have hard times. We work our butt off, climbing mountains, looking for coconut crabs. So I figure I'm fit to be in the Marine. You know,
Tough enough.
we would go up the mountain, and just for fun, we would collect gold teeth from the dead Japanese. You know, we would get them and collect them, but at the time nobody was buying. It's just like a toy for us. So we did collect a lot of them, and I don't know what happened to it when I left. But yes, that was hard life during those days.
What did you expect when you got this letter and knew that you were going to join the military? What did you think it was going to be like, or what were you hoping for?
Well, I'm an adventurous person. When I received my draft notice, I told the recruiter if I could go home and visit my father for the last time, you know, not knowing whether I would ever see him again. So I was on an island called God Island, Agiguan Island, when my brother came with an envelope. So he said, "Come on out. I got an envelope from the U.S. Army." So when I opened the envelope, I told my brother, I said, I gotta leave now to Tinian because tomorrow I'm supposed to be in Honolulu for the physical. So I make, I beat time where one day I hit here. So I got to Honolulu just on time for the physical.
That's good, or that would have been big trouble, right?
Oh, I've been big trouble from the beginning, not even starting,
So what was basic like for you, and did you go through any of your training with other people from Saipan, Tinian, Aurora?
I went with one guy from Saipan. His name is Joe Dueñas. They call him Tex Dueñas. We went together into basic. After basic, I went to advanced training, and then I received my notice to go to Vietnam. And that's when I left to Vietnam.
Was it much of a culture shock for you going from civilian life or even quote unquote being an island boy to joining the service? What was that like?
It was a shock for me and for every islander to be in a country where they don't speak Chamorro. Custom is completely different. In our custom, we share food. My first day in basic was there's this guy eating his food in front of me, and I was so hungry, but he wouldn't even offer. And that's when I say, life is different here. So that was one of the challenges that I encountered when I was in the military.
Was there anything about the way you were brought up that you feel helped you when you first entered the military or even during your career, where like any of the values or I would say physical training, or even being in Hawaii for a few years, do you think those experiences helped you transition to military life, or did it cause more of a conflict being from
No, that helps me a lot. When I was in Hawaii going to college, I run almost every day. It was like I run with several of my roommates. I got another roommate that is from here. This was during the college time. Si John Kainoa from Tanapak. He's one of my roommates, and so was Joe Dueñas, Tex Dueñas, before we went in the military, So it's just like a plan that me and Joe had decided to go in the military, but I volunteered for the Marines and I got drafted by the Army. So Joe decided to follow me, so he volunteered for the Army. So we both went to basic training in Fort Worth, California.
What are the different classifications or jobs you had?
I was an infantry, like you said, I mentioned earlier, and then I re-enlisted to become a food service inspector. And then I am all over the place. They would assign me to be the general's driver for several months, and then they would send me to New Zealand. That's what I never mentioned to you, but they would send me to New Zealand for 6 months.
What did you do in New Zealand?
At that time, the New Zealand Army were using some kind of weapon that is already obsolete. So having the M16 in the Army would be an advantage to the New Zealand Army. It's fully automatic. The one they had, you had to cock it single shot.
Oh.
So they gave me 800 M16 to take to New Zealand. It's supposed to be just for 3 months, but since my general is my friend, I had the New Zealand general call him up to see if I can extend for another 3 months. So the general finally said, Sergeant Borja, don't you ever call me again to ask for an extension because you're coming home on Christmas. So I said, yes, sir, I'm coming home. So, imagine, by the way, it took so many hours to fly to New Zealand by the C-130, those prop plane. We leave Hawaii and then go to Samoa because there was a storm coming, so we divert the plane to Samoa and then we landed in Fiji and finally in New Zealand. I love New Zealand so much. I would do it again. I would go back again someday if I can afford it.
I've heard it's a very beautiful country.
I love it.
Now, to be the driver for a general, this is something it's kind of a special job. I mean, not everybody can be a general driver. You kind of have to be, selected?
Mm.
Or how did you get the job?
Well, when I was in Europe, a buddy of mine never told me that his father was a general. So we became real close friends. So when I realistic to go back to, because I chose Hawaii, to Hawaii, he realistic also to go there because his father was a general in the army. He was the commanding general for Skopje Barracks, Hawaii. So he said, you know what, Sarge? Come and visit me whenever you have time. I said, yeah, I'll find you, give me your address. So he gave me his address and I kept driving around Skopje Barracks trying to figure out where does he live. And all I see that on that address was a big house, like a mansion. So I would, be thinking, oh, this guy is just joking to me or lying to me that he lived in that place there. So I went someplace and then called him again. He said, you see that big house? I said, yeah. He said, you just pull in the parking. So I said, it's either I get shot, or somebody gonna scream at me. So when I went in the parking lot, he came out, and his father came out.
Did you recognize his father?
No, because that was the first time that I met him. So the son wanted to introduce me to his father. So his father said, I'm the commanding general for Skopje Barracks, Hawaii. My name is General Brooks. He was a 2-star general. I said, oh my God, so he's not lying to me. He lived there. So after that, that's how I get to know the general. Then sometimes it's good to know the general, sometimes it's not too good. Because he would wake me up 5 o'clock in the morning to run with him.
Oh.
Yeah. But the good thing about it is, like, he's the one that sent me to New Zealand, and I enjoyed working for him. That's when he knows me real good. I would barbecue at his house and said, hey, next week I need you to drive me. So we drive all over the place. We went to the Big Island for training together, and we're really close. That's when we get so close that he, when I make that call to him to extend my stay in New Zealand, he told me, he said, Sergeant Borja, this is it. I'll give you 3 months and you're coming home for Christmas. I say, yes, sir. I don't get a haircut when I was in the army, seldom.
Why? Aren't there requirements?
it is a requirement, but my hair be longer than this. So one day I was pulling in the parking lot, and I saw the general. I was going to go, but when I saw the general walking towards the barracks, I stopped and I turned because I know he would tell me to go get a haircut. But he saw me, so he called me. He said, "Hey, soldier, come here." And he said, "I got an appointment with you at 2 o'clock in the afternoon." I know what he meant by that. I need to get a haircut and see him to make sure that I get a haircut. So I did get a haircut, and then when I see him, he said, "Yeah, that's the reason why I wanted you to meet me, so I can yell at you to get a haircut." Yeah.
Did you get any kind of special schooling or training for these different jobs that you had?
You know, yeah, I went to good service school to be an inspector. I was involved also with the John Conley Award thing, where we go to Europe and inspect the mess halls in Europe. They select the best mess halls, they call it.
Oh, okay.
They select the best mess halls among all the mess halls in the United States and overseas. So I would go there and do the inspection also. I do inspect the commissaries. Any dent we throw it away. That's the requirement. The regulation says throw it away. If it dents, then throw it away. But a lot of Chamorro were benefited by that because they would always ask me, "When are you dumping?" I mean, they're good food, good canned food, but it's just the regulation wanted us to not sell it at the commissary. So they would go to the dump and pick up those good. They're not dirty.
I thought you were going to say they would wait for you to show up.
They would go to the dump and pick it up themselves there. I cannot just say, "Here."
Yeah.
They have to take their own risk, Yeah.
So you served in Germany, the U.S., Hawaii, of course, New Zealand, and then Vietnam during the campaign, correct?
Yes. I went back the second time in 1975.
Oh, could I ask you, but you were there before, correct?
Yes.
Were you involved in combat?
Minor combat, yes.
Okay.
So in 1975, there were 12 of us that got selected to go and get all the Vietnamese that want to leave the country.
When Saigon fell.
Yes, when Saigon fell.
The Vietnamese party came in, took over. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so we took, I would say, 800,000 Vietnamese out, and we dropped them in the Philippines and Guam, mostly Guam. At that time, they asked the CNMI if they could bring some Vietnamese here, but the CNMI leadership had rejected the thing because of disease, and they're afraid. Yeah, so there were 12 of us that got selected, so they call us the Dirty Dozen.
All from Schofield.
All from Schofield Barracks, and there was one black guy, one white guy, and 10 of us. I'm the only Chamorro, but 10 of us are all brown-skinned soldiers, individual. And when we were signing for our insurance, we had to sign our insurance, before leaving. Then we never know whether we're going to make it or not. This one white guy doesn't have a family. I asked him if he's got family so he can put down as a beneficiary in case something happened to him. He says, "Sarge, I don't have anybody." I said, "Well, put my wife put my wife as, so when something happened, my wife will get the insurance. But everybody
Very
came back.
practical, yes. That was a practical suggestion.
Right, yes.
But did you all 12 come back safely?
We all came back safely. And at the end, we were stationed for a while in Guam, processing the refugees out. They call them refugees, but that's not nice. But they're Vietnamese anyway. But
What was the name of this operation?
Operation New Life. Yeah, that's when people starting their new life in a new world. So.
There's one particular highlight of your military career, and it's related to this resolution that's on display here in front of us. I want to read the first couple of lines. This is a resolution presented to Mr. Borja by the Commonwealth Senate in 1994. I'll read this and then you tell us the story. Whereas in 1976, the covenant was being presented to the people of the Mariana Islands, and Ambassador Hayden Williams, who had been so instrumental in bringing the covenant to fruition, was visiting the islands for such presentation. And whereas Mr. Guillermo C. Borja, a native of the Mariana Islands and member of the U.S. Army, was chosen for the honor of, I'll let you tell the story from there.
It's kind of emotional because it was, I couldn't believe that a Chamorro guy from the island of Tinian would be selected to be the special bodyguard for the U.S. ambassador. I was even surprised myself that I got selected, but it was an honor for me and my family to bring the covenant to the CNMI. That is our passport to be a U.S. citizen. We were long time being denied, not being denied, but every time we go to United States or Guam, we have to have a visa. But with this covenant now, that frees us from that, requirement.
So you actually were part of his, how many bodyguards were there? I imagine there was
There
more
was
than one.
quite a few.
So you were among the group.
Yes, the Marine Corps are always ahead of the airplane that we're on. They would land on Saipan, for example, and they'll be on both sides of the red carpet. And I would be stepping out of the plane first before the ambassador. And in fact, I jokingly asked him, I said, "Sir, I think it's you gotta go first." He said, "You know what, boy, you're crazy. What if somebody shoot me?" Because there's some anti-American at the time. I say, "Yeah, so you want me to be the first one to die?" We joke at each other. So I went ahead anyway, and as soon as the door opens, there'll be Marine guards on both sides of the aisle, and then I will salute the flag, and they will play the anthems there. So it was an honor, actually, to be from a tiny island.
And so not only were you guarding Ambassador Hayden, but you were actually guarding the physical covenant
The covenant.
itself. What was that like? What were your responsibilities?
It's just so that anybody can look at it, but making sure that they don't run away with the covenant or tear part of the covenant, because there are some anti-Americans at the time. So we were actually guarding it from people taking it and throwing it away, and we got the backing of the police department too from Saipan. So, but believe it or not, I never read a single page in that covenant.
Before you guarded it.
I'm guarding it, but don't know what's in that document, until later on.
So you are a first-hand witness of what the reaction of our people was when you took this to Saipan, Tinian, and Rota. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, there were a lot of people that actually celebrated the covenant. Saipan, for example, there's a lot of people that came to witness the covenant. They were going up the states and glancing through the covenant, and not to throw you off track or my story, to divert my story, but let me tell you a funny story.
Sure.
I was in full military uniform, and I knew this one kid because he was my wife's first cousin, but he was just a kid, like 7, 8 years old, and didn't remember me. So he was with the dad, and they were staring at me, and the small kid said, "Dad, he's a black guy, but he got a last name Borja." So I try to hold my laugh, because I know him.
And he said it in Chamorro,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So not to laugh anyway, because the ambassador is right there, But he looked at me up there and said, "That this guy's last name is Borja, but he's black." And I just couldn't hold my laugh, I just kind of closed my eye and trying to prevent it from breaking up, laughing. But those are one of the experiences, and I was being treated by the Saipan delegation very nicely. They provided a vehicle for me. I can go to any restaurant on Saipan and just get the receipt, and the legislature will pay for all my expenses here. So I enjoyed my time here. And when another story that I would tell you, in Rhoda, the Ambassador William took a fruit bat to eat, and he ate them. He finished the bowl. He didn't know what that was.
Oh, he didn't?
No. So he loves it so much. So he said, "Hey, Sarge, can you get me a bowl of soup, the same one I had?" When I went back to the pot, there was only the head remaining.
I knew you were going to say that. How did I know you were going to say that?
So I put the head facing up. Then I gave it to him. And when he saw the head, he pushes it. He's even spilled the soup. He said, "What the hell are you feeding me? A rat?" I said, "No, sir, that's a fruit bat. You just finished eating. So this is your second bowl." He said, no, I don't want it. You guys eat weird." That's what he said. "You guys eat weird." Yeah, so.
What was Ambassador Hayden like as a person?
He was a very gentle person. He never yelled at me. We joked to each other. And I can tell him, "Hey, sir, I don't want to be at your party tonight." He said, "Why?" I said, "Because Americans eat carrots and celery. I eat rice." He said, "Come on, let's go." So I would force myself to follow him, but that's the very truth. Americans, when they eat light food, not like tomorrow boy, they dig the pot down. Rice and a ton of rice and meat. But them, they don't eat that much meat and salad is their favorite, his favorite too. We'll dip the celery and carrots in the dip.
Let's talk, if it's okay, a little bit about the sacrifices involved with the service that you've given. What are some of the personal sacrifices you feel you had to make as a member of the armed forces?
The hardest part, and I would consider it a sacrifice, is leaving my family behind to go serve my country, our country. That is the hardest thing. Otherwise, I'm okay, even though I force myself to get up early in the morning and do the run or go to the rifle range and shoot. It was still that was a sacrifice too, waking up, forcing yourself when you're not used to waking up that early to be there. And the cold weather, I sacrificed myself with staying in the cold to just so that we can accomplish the mission, our training.
What are some of the difficult choices you may have had to make, either professionally or personally, because of your service?
There was one instant when I had to tell this a friend of mine not to go across the rice field in Vietnam. And he said, "Borja, to hell with you. You're not my father." That's what he told me. Or my mother to be telling me what to do. There was 3 of us that night. So he didn't pay attention to me. I said, "Okay, it's your life." He walked across the rice field and he tripped on the flares. The Vietnamese will put a wire in the rice field. So when somebody step on the wire or trip on the wire, the flares will go up. So he got captured. We couldn't do anything because we don't want to let them know, like if they catch us, they might interrogate us until we finally give up and mention where our unit is at. So that's what we've been told. Don't retaliate. There was a whole bunch of them anyway. We wouldn't be able to control them. So in 1975, after the fall of Saigon, he was one of the refugees. When they released the prisoners, he was one of them. His name is, I forgot his first name, but the last name is Sampayan. He's a Filipino guy. I sure want to tell him someday if I ever meet that if you listen to me, you'll never get in trouble like that.
You said that you were there only for not too long.
Mm-hmm.
How did that time there in combat affect you?
It doesn't affect me that much. I'm used to killing animals. So killing somebody or a human being is not that much of a problem. There are people from New York who had never killed a cockroach. Yeah, and they would cry if you kill a cockroach in front of them. So, as a hunter back home, we're used to that. Not killing people, but killing animals.
Do you feel there were benefits to your service, especially to your family? What were those?
Number one benefit is the education. Yeah, I continue my education. I'm still receiving pension from the military. Nowadays they I don't know how they do it now, but before they will give you money to pay for your apartment or your food, all you gotta do just go to school and attend it, and they give you $500 per child, you know. So that was one benefit that I get from the military. That is after I get out.
Would you recommend other people to join the military?
Definitely, up till now, I'm encouraging a lot of people, a lot of young kids on the island to please go in the military service. There is no, I keep telling them there's no life here, especially Tinian, you know. It's such a small community. Either you end up in drugs, or if you're a woman, you end up getting pregnant. So why not join the military and build a family from there? That's why I always recommend this to the teenagers on Tinian. Please join the military, see the world, and then you can make a decision whether you want to make it your career or get out. But at least you explore the world. Like what I did, I travel and I know where I'm gonna settle down. So I settled in Hawaii for a couple of years. Like I said, I'm like a grasshopper, you know. I'm in Hawaii this year, maybe 3-4 years from now, I'll be in California, in Washington State, or back to the island. So, yeah.
And there's actually a high percentage of high school graduates from Tinian who join the military.
Yes.
If you could do anything differently about your service, would you change anything? Would you join the Marines?
I would join the Marine, actually, if I wasn't get drafted, because that was my choice. You know, you watch a lot of war movies, and Marines are pretty brave out there. So, you know, it encourages me to join the Marine. But then here comes the Army, so let's go. So I had to be in the Army, but I did not regret a thing. The only regret is maybe when you get assignment to a cold place, you know, like Berlin. One time I got assigned to secure or guard the border. At the time, the Berlin Wall was still up. So I was temporarily assigned there, and it's really cold there.
Oh yeah,
Very.
Germany, that's true. When you faced difficult times when you were in the service, what was your motivation to keep going, to keep trying your best?
I would say to myself, if somebody can do it, then I damn sure can do it too. Work hard, and you wouldn't regret it. I have nothing to say about military, but good things. You know, I enjoyed. We had a Chamorro band.
Where at?
In Fort Worth, California. See, Tony Guerrero was one of the member of the band, and he was in fact the president of the Chamorro Club.
On the base?
On the base and outside the base.
Okay.
Yeah, because we got people from California going up every time they play in the. Well, Tony organized a group to play right outside the gate, and they charge people to go in. So they collect a ton of money to have them come and watch and dance. You know, Chamorro song. You know, you miss home. Huh? So that was an enjoyable moment for every one of us. In fact, I go there maybe 1,000 times every weekend. I would say, let's go. So, see, Tony Guerrero is the brother of Herman Guerrero.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Former senator, no?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When you think about like how you were raised and the values or the important lessons that you learned from your father, do you think the way you were raised as a Chamorro growing up in Tinian helped you overcome challenges that you faced in your
Yes.
service, and how?
Definitely helped me because we, you know, like we were forced to do what our parents want us to do, not beat you in the back to do what they want you to do, but you listen, and sometimes they pull your ear and say, this is how we want things done. And we always do. And my father was a teenager during the German occupation of the CNMI, so he would speak to me or yell at me in German, and not knowing what he was telling me until I went to Germany, and that's when I found out what he was telling me. Not real bad, but you know, like, you dumb. You say "dumm Kopf," you dumb in German. So yeah, I learned a lot from him. He pushes us to where we can help ourselves as an adult. You know, teach me to be a farmer, and I'm still doing farming now in spite of I'm 74 years old, by the way. I'm still farming.
That's
Yeah.
right.
It's my life. Like Guy Gabaldon said, this is my life.
Mhm. How do you think your service changed you as a person?
I became a soft-hearted person after I got out of the service. Even at work right now, I'm probably the most soft-hearted directors. That people sometimes tell me, hey, you gotta be hard on these people. I learned to suffer, or what I learned how hard it is to be told what to do. And so sometimes if you want that individual to be a better person, sometimes you have to speak to them softly or gently.
Wait, this sounds opposite the military.
Yes, but this is after I got out, I became, you know, what myself is
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
In the military, yes, I almost got a court-martial one time for choking somebody. So, yeah, that was a big change on my side, on my part, you know.
Is it something you really thought about, or is it just something that came naturally to change into a softer person?
It came just like naturally. I don't know what changed me, but I was pretty gung-ho when I was in the military.
Mhm.
But when I got out, I guess I seen how people live back at home, and I would feel sorry for them, because some people will go and collect copper to sell to buy some food, collect copper to buy gasoline. It was only 30 cents a gallon at the time. You know, they had to sacrifice. We sell coconut just to survive. So, yeah, those are the things.
So when you got out, you became a police officer. Do you feel that your training or your military service kind of led you in that direction, or why did you choose to become a police officer?
I was appointed by then Governor Camacho to be the director of the police department in Tinian. Little did I know that it's all politics, and I thought I'll be there for life. But no, once their term is up, you're up too.
Mm-hmm.
Like You're an elected official, you know. So when I got appointed, that's when I started getting interested into law enforcement. Of course, that was what I went to school for, you know,
Right.
but not actually being a police officer until that time when I got appointed. I was a police officer first a director in Tinian, and then when I left Tinian to go back to the States, I was a police officer in Vallejo, California. And after that, I went to Hawaii. I asked my friend who was a police captain if he needed an officer. He said, yeah, just come on over. So I became a police officer there. And then when I got tired of Hawaii, it's I don't know why I just cannot stay in one place. So I decided to pack my family and go to Washington State. Then I became a police officer there again. It's all law enforcement, what I do mostly in life.
Do you feel satisfied with your military career, and that do you feel that you met what you expected, or it was what you expected, or what you hoped for?
Well, it met what I expected. You know, I expect that the military will make me a better person, discipline-wise, and that's what makes me become an officer. I am not out there to give citation. I give more advice than citation. You know, a person in Hawaii, for example, was drunk on his birthday, and I made a traffic stop. And I was gonna give the guy a break because it's his birthday, but he was weaving all over the road, so I pulled him over. I said, sir, can I have a phone number so I can call for your relative or brother to come and pick up the car and take you home? He was so drunk, he took the jack stand out of his car and went back to the police car and smashed the windshield. So I got no choice. I had to handcuff him and take him to the police station. And I kept telling him, hey, you should have listened to me. I don't want to burden you. I don't want to punish you by giving you a citation. DUI, you know, DUI in the States or anywhere in Hawaii is a lot of money. You're required to go to the rehab. They test you anytime, you know, whether you're still using alcohol. So that poor guy, man, you know, I feel sorry for him.
You could have saved his life
Yeah, saved his life, and
with what you did.
yeah, I think I saved his life because if I don't stop him, he's heading towards a mountain, and it's pretty steep on the side of the mountain. So I pull him over and yeah, I should say I saved his life. Yes.
So today you're 74 years old, still farming and ranching in Tinian. What do you hope for the future? What are your future plans or aspirations?
I want to have a lot of cattle. I'm giving up cows for free.
Wait, how can you have a lot of cattle, but would you give them out?
No, see, just this year, I killed 2
Okay.
and gave it away. You know, so just from the goodness of my heart, I gave 5 pigs away. You know, I raised them, I spend money on the food, but I still, you know, to help somebody, help them out.
Did your father used to do this? Did your family do this when you were growing up, or?
Well, my father will give you a lot of goats because he loved raising goats.
Okay.
He must have had over 1,000 goats and chicken. We only got about two cows at the time, but for me to have 30 cattle, I need to reduce the number of cattle because otherwise they'll starve to death in the dry season. Oh, and by the way, I gave some to the Manomco on Saipan.
Oh.
Me.
Oh.
Yeah, I brought it up. And
So you actually, am I understanding you correctly, you want to raise cattle just to give it away?
well, if I can make money, I'll make money. But at least if I can just
Sometimes.
sometimes and help me buy the barbed wire or the cattle or the what they call that thing for the pig, the hog fence. I got a lot of coconut, so I cut a lot of coconut for the pig, or I grind some of them. But I got a helper too once in a while that comes and help me cut the coconut. That's his job, cutting coconut for the pig.
Mr. Borja, is there anything else you'd like to add that maybe I didn't ask about, or even is there something you'd like to express in the vernacular Chamorro to our viewers today?
Ya, para hamzun ni man Samoro, para yawa manggaigi Amerika, Tinian, Luta, Saipan, nai animu da in abisay pamagon mido na malignya upan halum gim silbisyo gimilitat da sa maulignya kiyo panyaga gini da Saipan Tinian pagduta da panimbaw gi bineno. Talilya na bulan no pago na tempo no umapepektai manobin za zanggin sinya kwentusi da panhalong gi serbisyo za wati nila ka gilala niya pero sinya mas mumaulik istiya na bisu pa binayam sa otro birada tadan manasabit.
If I could summarize, you are encouraging our people to consider military service, especially the young people, so that they can have a good start to their life.
Yes, that's exactly what I wanted our youth to do. What is life here, other than going picnic, barbecuing, drinking beer? If you don't have much up in your head, then you don't have much to live for. It's going to be harder. That's why I expect the kids to try and make a change in their life.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing about your service, and especially the special insight you have into the creation of the Commonwealth and the Covenant. Very interesting. Thank you so much.
This will be for my children, to treasure. If I'm gone, at least they have this to remember.
And I think we should mention that even though this was given by the Senate in 1994, there's actually a joint resolution from both houses that you received in the 21st Commonwealth Legislature. So history lives on.
Yes, but they just, if I may mention that one there, that was just the House resolution.
Oh,
Yeah, that one there. Is it a joint? I never actually, but it's just a House resolution, I think that one.
you are correct.
Yeah.
House resolution, so you got
Resolution.
both houses covered.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Borja.
Thank you and for inviting me for this interview, and I really appreciate it. And you all have a good day, remaining of the days.
Our guest today has been Guillermo Cabrera Borja. He is a veteran of the U.S. Armed Forces. Thank you for taking time to listen in on our chat today, and we will see you on the next episode of Service, Sacrifice, and Resilience, Guardians on the Front Lines.